What's up, Jason? How you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Yeah, about the same. Honestly, nothing much has really happened with me since the last one we did.
Oh man, wow, that's I don't know if that's good or bad. It's probably fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Fine is just fine enough.
Well, so since our last podcast, I've had a few things happen. Well, the Super Bowl happened, as you know, and we had a little bet going on.
That we did.
And I made what I thought was a sure bet, and it ended up not going my way.
No, I took the leftovers and I won. So
yeah, which is a little bit ridiculous.
So if there's a life lesson in there, it's don't try, kids.
Right. Don't try.
Yeah.
But the specifics of our bet, we never really did get out there.
Yeah, we were supposed to think of the terms by the end of the last episode, and I think we had too many beers to figure that out. So
right. So what it ended up being is that now I have to sing "The Wind Beneath My Wings" to you. I don't know if you want to do the whole thing or if you just want me to just do the chorus.
I think why don't you just record yourself doing it at home and send it to me, and then I'll cut it in here.
Okay, so it's not going to happen. Got it.
Yeah, you don't need to take your shirt off right now.
Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot I was going to wear the wings.
Yeah, okay. Why would you?
Well, then it's probably really not going to happen. It's too cold.
You didn't have your own wings.
That's right. Well, the last, a year ago, we did a show the day after Valentine's Day with.
We talked about that last year with Guardrail and the bottles and. After we were done playing, you took your pants off and put on some wings and basically made an ass out of yourself.
Valentine's and candy, yeah.
So his payoff for this bet is that he's going to do that same thing, but sing "Wind Beneath My Wings" to me, which is going to be just adorable. But
it's going to be great.
We'll have that video cut in here later.
All right. Oh, gosh, I suppose I will have to do it. All right.
So what else do you have going on?
Last weekend I did a hike across a frozen lake. That was
you were part of that group, okay?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. It was. I didn't think it'd be anything too bad, and then it was like 20 below the entire time.
Right.
And
because
it was an adventure, that's for sure.
In Wisconsin.
Yeah, and then I got really drunk and made an ass of myself and ended up apologizing to people for the next 2 days.
Oh boy, what did you do? Can you talk about it?
It's not even really worth talking about. I just I don't drink liquor.
That 100% means it's worth talking about.
Right. Yeah, as I proceed to talk about it.
Right.
So the last time I drank whiskey was with you.
Yeah, that went well.
The comeback inn, and I woke up driving through a cornfield, and then I swore off whiskey up until the other weekend. And because in my head I was like, well, I don't want to. Normally I drink beer, but I don't want to have to pee every 10 minutes when it's 20 below out. That's going to be interesting. So I was like, well, I'll just stick to liquor. Yeah. Oh yeah. Embarrassing too. And then I got whiskey rage again over something that was not even a thing. And basically angrily stomped my way back across the lake, almost by myself and over nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Isn't whiskey great?
No, it's horrible.
Man. You're terrible at it. I think the actual last time I saw you drink whiskey, we did the very first episode of this podcast.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
2 drinks and you fell up the stairs somehow.
Yeah.
So just as a point of reference, this is how bad Jason is at drinking whiskey.
I fall upstairs. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah. It was a glorious evening. I
Oh
made
my
him
God,
stay here. He couldn't even drive 4 miles home.
I don't even think I could stay on the couch. I think if I woke up on the floor.
Yeah, there was some stuff around when you were gone.
All right. Anyway.
So shall we welcome our guest here?
Yeah, since he's been patiently just hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
So we are joined this evening by Reverend Danger.
Yep.
What's going on?
Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Oh, living the dream.
Yeah, same.
Listening to Jason talk about how he can't drink whiskey.
Ugh.
I mean, I don't drink whiskey anymore, but I'm fairly certain I still can.
Yeah, he's just epically bad at it.
Yeah.
I had years of practice, so you just got to work at it.
He's more of a clear liquor kind of guy.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to work at it. I think I'm past the point where I where I need to work at it.
These days, my whiskey ends up in marinades and not so much in the drinking.
Yeah, you're not getting drunk. You're creating a flavor profile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did a brandy basted pork shoulder last weekend. It was terrific.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'll tell you what, I've been watching the shit out of Binging with Babish lately.
Oh,
he does a lot of cooking with booze, and it. I wish I had a much better kitchen than I do.
Yeah, I've taken to watching a lot of YouTube because they switched my work schedule. I used to start at 8, and now I start at 9. But my sleep schedule still says I start at 8, so I'm ready like an hour early. So I'm like, all right, just gonna dick around on YouTube.
Yeah, there you go. Watch 4 or 5 videos and then get out the door.
Exactly. I mean, the guys from Epic Mealtime are back to doing ridiculous things. All right.
Oh my gosh, that used to be my favorite. That used to be my favorite, I guess, YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a couple that I go back to. I've got that one. I'll check in on Hot Ones every now and then. And
yeah, they just started putting out some new episodes.
There's a new one out tonight, I guess.
Oh, really? Okay, so now 4 episodes from this season.
Yep, and they're still doing them over Zoom, which is interesting.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, exactly. And
really? I guess I haven't seen any of the new ones then.
Yeah, they had Kevin James on last week.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't so bad.
Yeah, he was all
right.
More
irritating as you would think he would be.
Exactly. Yeah, they actually managed to get a good interview out of him. I really enjoyed the episode with the Undertaker last season.
Oh my God, I missed that one. Maybe I haven't seen it either.
Let's see. I guess the main thing I've got going on is I retired from booking shows. I'm not doing it anymore. So in my retirement, I've been watching a lot of wrestling. So
I don't think I've watched wrestling earnestly since the 1980s.
Well,
I remember Junkyard Dog and Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Yeah. Well, starting next month, if you buy the Peacock subscription, so it's NBC and the Universal Library, they bought the WWE Network, so that's just built into your subscription.
Okay.
So it's now $9.99 for both. So I canceled my Netflix, and I'm just going to get that next month and just binge all of the ridiculous professional wrestling that I can. Because I've been collecting DVDs, because since the network came out, people just get rid of them for nothing. All right, I'll watch 3 discs of this guy. Sure. I'll pay for it.
I was doing some cleaning today around the house, and I found a bunch of old books, and I found my China biography. I was like, "What? I don't even remember when I bought this, but I remember it being a pretty crazy book."
Yeah,
it would have to be
even crazier life.
And that was before she started doing porn and painting herself green.
Yeah. That was pre that.
Oh yeah, it didn't get less weird.
And before she died.
Yeah. And painted herself green. I like to think she's still doing it from beyond the grave.
Absolutely, 100%. It just makes me happier that way.
Right.
But yeah, so speaking of your retirement, so I don't know how many people know this, but I think those who know Deegan and I might know this. We actually met at Danger Fest. And I guess, Deegan, you guys had done it, Deal Breakers had done it 1 or 2 times prior, right?
Something like that, yep.
And I think it was our first year, Brash's first year. And I'm trying to think of how we even got hooked. Oh, we knew Danny.
Right.
Was how we came into contact with you. And it was funny because when I was very excited to play it, it was kind of the first thing that we had traveled for or had been a part of a festival or anything. And I was like, oh, there's another Madison band there. It'll be funny, it'd be kind of cool to meet, but I had no idea who they were. And so we played.
Wait, you didn't know the
fairly
world
early
Deal Breakers? You didn't know the world famous Deal Breakers when you got to Danger Fest?
No, I
Shaw.
shockingly no.
I mean, at least it wasn't. At least you didn't meet the year of the Deal Breakers Brian McKay incident.
The year before that would have been epic, honestly.
I was going to say that's was
the Danger Fest story. That's the one everyone likes to hear.
We would have never talked, honestly. You'd have been like, "Oh, never mind."
Nope.
No, but it was fun. I think we played very early, and you guys got there probably mid thing or whatever. And
it took Danger into giving us a sweet time slot.
Yeah,
not too late, not too early.
That's the time slot everyone wanted. So
yeah, I know. I think we capitalized on it.
I don't want to play the first slot. I'm like, well, someone has to. I can't have you all start at 5:00.
But yeah, I just remember when Deegan and I first met, we both had super long beards. We were wearing the exact same hat that Deegan has on now, and we basically looked almost exactly like each other. And we're like, hey, we're both from Madison, and we kind of look the same. I guess we should talk, huh?
Both play bass and sing in bands.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, same instrument, sing.
Yeah, the one time I was in Waterloo, like completely unplanned, we realized we were all wearing that hat.
That's right.
I think at a certain age, you just own that hat. I have 3 of them now, so
I have a fucking wall of these hats.
I was gonna say,
and here's why: I have a very shallow head, so I can't do a ball cap because it comes down like halfway over my ears. They just make me look like a child, which is weird. So I stick with the scally caps.
There you go.
Fair enough.
Anyway, that's my insecurity.
So speaking of Danger Fest, so how did that even come about? Like I know we've talked a whole bunch of times now, but I don't know that I ever actually found out. What was the
Genesis origins?
Yeah.
What was the impetus behind it?
Well, before there was Danger Fest, there was Fompel Rock. That's FOMPL, which stands for Friends of the Marshfield Public Library. Basically, I work at the library, and I convinced their fundraising wing to put up the money for a show. I'm like, I need money for the building rental and for concessions, and if we make anything at the door, I'll donate it back to the library. So basically, I got them to pay for me to put on a show with all of my dumb friends and our dumb bands.
Okay.
So that's where I got started, and it got to the point where I'd have poster deadlines due before I had the lineup complete. So a lot of the early posters have bands listed that don't exist and never did because I made them up.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Brian from Rig Time, he's been my partner in crime musically for quite some time, and we had a running joke that we should just start forming all these bands that don't exist and then announcing that they're not going on tour. But
oh yeah, get really in depth with it, like set up Facebook pages and like Bandcamp.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah,
nobody does that.
Soon.
Nobody sets up fake bands and counts.
No, certainly not.
Certainly not hip hop artists.
Yeah.
What?
Well, speaking of hip hop, now we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
That's another project Brian and I did, which I decided to bring back last year. Anyway, so the first Danger Fest, I didn't know any bands that would play it. I didn't make the poster. I didn't book the PA. I didn't really do any of the work behind it. It was all Brian. The first one was Brian Fest, because he did all of those things. But it ended up being Michael Strike running sound at the first one because he played with the Artificials, and that's how I met him. And that's actually how I met Tanner from Rosa Parkinson's and Wilted, because he was playing bass for the Evening Noose at the time. Yeah, there were 5 bands. The show took place in an afternoon. We didn't book lights because the sun was out. It would take like 3-4 Danger Fests in before I realized I needed lights for a show. Because otherwise we would just turn on the room lights when it got dark. And then it was the first year that Half Empty Glass played. So this was like well into the Danger Fest run. They're like, can we just go to Menards and like buy some shop lights and put them up for the rest of the show? I'm like, I guess.
Absolutely do that.
So that got done. There was one year, well, for a couple of years, I know a lot of DJs, so I would just borrow their light rig. They'd come set it up. I'd do the show. They wouldn't charge me for it. I found lots of ways to do things and not pay for them. As one does.
That's the best way to do stuff.
Yeah. So it was just every summer. We were doing Fomple Rock and Danger Fest. And then I stopped doing Fomple Rock. And then we got the Danger Fest winter show, which the first one was the first time I met Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was playing with Whiskaholics then.
Yeah.
I don't remember much of that show, but I still remember more of it than any of them do.
I know.
I remember Tommy and Butch had driven them. He had driven them to the show just because he wanted to go. And I remember him and Tommy having to lean on each other to walk up the stairs because neither of them could stand. And that became a grand tradition of me having to clean up on just a fuck ton of empty beer cans after the show every day. Or not every day, but I would go back and clean up. The shows were always Saturday. I'd go back and clean up on Sunday. It would always just still smell like ball sweat and stale beer in there.
Classic smell. You should bottle that.
You definitely don't get into booking DIY punk rock shows to meet girls because there aren't any.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
So and then it just kept going and went from 5 bands. Eventually it went up to 16 bands. Then it went down to 12 bands. And the last one, which was just over a year ago, it was 10 bands. And then, COVID. We tried the one streaming show and I didn't like that. So I was just like, I kept saying that I need to do one more show, for the scene and everyone had been involved. And then I decided, fuck it. No, I don't. I don't want to. I don't want to do this.
Absolutely don't.
So, sorry to everyone in the scene. It was my decision. Because frankly, putting together Danger Fest every year was an absolute nightmare that I put myself through. I didn't want to do it anymore.
Like, I saw the evolution from the first time I played it to the last time that Brash played it, which was not last winter, but last summer.
Yeah.
Last summer when we did, yeah.
Yeah. It was a ramshackle shit show the first time I showed up. And the last time we played, you had bartenders serving beer behind the counter.
An actual sound. There was an actual sound guy. It wasn't just
actual sound.
From
Yeah.
one of the bands.
A drum riser. A fucking drum riser. Even I don't have a drum riser.
Well, and the drum riser, fun. For anyone who'd never been to Danger Fest, the drum riser was this series of carpeted platforms that we would put together and then throw a rug on top of them. Because if you didn't throw a rug on top of them, every time you hit the kick, they'd start sliding apart. Which we learned that the fun way. But they actually belong to a local bridal shop who just stores them there and doesn't really care what happens to them. And then when they have to go to a show somewhere where they need to like elevate their designs, they just come get them again. Yeah. So they've never complained about how much we beat the shit out of them. So,
there you go. It's another example of getting shit done using other people's shit.
Yeah, the rug we would put on top, we would actually just steal from the top of the stairs since people weren't supposed to go upstairs anyway. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'd remember to put it back. But yeah, having bartenders, the Chestnut Center, where every Danger Fest was held, got a liquor license. So that was fun because we went from having only carry-ins to not being allowed to have carry-ins. Yeah. So that was fun. I'm like, the best I can do, guys, is I can buy a large amount. I can have them bring in a large amount of shitty beer. Like, I will give you Budweiser and Bud Light because that's what I can get, and I will sell it for $2. That's what I can do.
That's reasonable, honestly. Like, I sell Miller Lite and High Life at my place here for $3.
Yeah. So, well, and that also because I started running a Friday night concert series for the Chestnut Center, and I was bartending most of those. So suddenly I'm bartending and I'm doing inventory and I'm cleaning out the coolers, and so I, along with running Danger Fest, I'm running this other concert series, and I basically just drove myself into the ground. And
I can see that. I for my birthday 1 year, actually, I did a similar thing, and I had probably 10 or 15, I don't know, 14 bands, something like that. And it was crazy. Like, it was, yeah. So I never understood how you could do that multiple times a year, because just dealing with, well, I don't want to, yeah, like you said, I don't want to play here. I don't want to play, and I tried to alternate, Madison bands, out of town bands. And, that way everybody had a little bit of an audience, and it was, man, it was crazy.
That was a good show, though.
It actually wasn't. It ended up being great. And the VFW was like, you need to do this more often. Like, as we were packing up, they were like,
sure I ever want to do this again.
Yeah. The bartenders were like, we've never made so much money. This is amazing. You need to do this again. And I was like,
that's how VFWs used to pay their bills, man. Weekend punk shows.
Yeah.
Like on the Friday night shows, the people in charge of the Chestnut Center would always get very nervous when I book what they called loud bands. And I'd be like, okay, but I know that people are going to come see this band, and then I turn in the
bar receipts
at the end of the night, and there's almost like $2,000 in mostly singles. I'm like, and now I can book the quieter bands next week that 5 people are going to show up to. Cool. Yeah, Marshfield is a weird market, and I stuck to my guns and always kept the shows here. When people are like, well, you could just move the show somewhere else and it would do better. I'm like, yeah, but I don't.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to have that bit of control over what happens.
Right. Like, basically, I got to the point with the Chestnut Center where, like, they're just going to let me do what I want.
Yep.
As long as things don't get broken or things don't get stolen, which was a problem for a while.
I was gonna say there was a pronghorn that went missing.
There was,
there?
yeah. I still have no idea how someone got that out the door without any of us seeing it. But
It was
yeah,
an inside job, bud. It was
this
inside
weird
job.
animal head hanging in the men's room, and it went missing. And then there was some art hanging in the men's room that all disappeared, because drunk idiots.
What art was there? I mean, I kind of remember like a painting or
There were a couple of paintings that were hanging above the urinals. I'm like, well, that was a bad place to hang them to begin with.
Wow. I'm really fuzzy on that. I don't remember anything above the urinals.
Yeah. And then,
except for more often than not an out of order sign.
Right. And that's still there. They have never fixed the one urinal. Because that's still where I do a majority of my photo shoots. So I'm still there. I still have keys to the building. They still don't care when I go in as long as I don't bother the other programs.
Right.
But the biggest one was I had a show for my birthday one year, and we decided to throw punk rock prom.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Half Empty Glass and TIGT. And that was the first night I met the Biscaynes.
Mm-hmm.
And
this already sounds like a crazy bill.
Yeah, Sullen Riot played. We got Sullen Riot just so I could see if I could get Kristen to wear a dress. And so that was the show where I learned that I couldn't drink at shows that I was running, because I went and did shots of Jameson with all the bands before the show, which meant I did like 8 shots of Jameson in half an hour.
Dude, yeah, you never do shots, man.
Oh, man.
And they were just, it wasn't chilled or anything. It was just straight out of the bottle. It was,
ugh.
And then throughout the rest of the night, Benny just kept coming up to me. He's like, "Hey, you want to do a shot?" And I did them every time. I remember very little of that show, other than like all the bands finished playing, and it was like way before when the show was supposed to get done. So then they just like different band members started singing like, "Hey, you know this song?" Yeah. And so it just became a random jam between all of the bands that played.
Nice.
Which I
That
thought
actually sounds kind of awesome.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
But and then I get a call the next day from my friend who was the director of the Chestnut Center at the time. He's like, "We have a problem." I'm like, oh God, what happened now? Because this is after the animal head disappeared and after the artwork disappeared, which were both from his personal collection. So I was already on his shit list.
Mm-hmm.
There were floodlights on the outside of the building. They're in this. There's a flower garden that runs along the outside, which that's all you need to know. So there were floodlights in them, and someone had taken them.
The floodlights?
Like the entire string. There's like, and he's like, it's not that they're worth anything. He's like, you go to Menards, you can buy them for $10. He's like, it's that someone took all of them during your show, and this is the 3rd show in a row where shit has disappeared.
Yeah.
So what happened is, I don't remember who the girl was, but it was the girl that Benny had come there with, who was just as drunk as Benny was, and as I was. She decided that the band, TIGT, needed more lights for their setup. So she had taken them and put them in their van. And I found this out because I had to message all the bands, and Butch is like, I have them. He's like, I can bring them back. He's like, I can bring them back, but let us deal with this. So basically they told Benny he could break up with her or they were kicking him out of the band. So yeah, 3 shows in a row of shit disappearing is how the behavior contract for Danger Fest was born. Because that was the agreement made with the Chestnut Center. They said you can keep having shows, but you need to have something. So that's where the form we had to have you all sign at the beginning of each show came into play. It was our standard "don't be an asshole" contract. Don't steal shit. Don't break shit. We reserve the right to kick you out. That kind of thing.
Fair enough. I mean, if you got shows with more than 4 bands, it's hard to keep track of everybody.
Exactly. And so
and there's always somebody that's going to be an asshole.
Yeah, someone had stolen Rigtime's guitar at some point.
Oh,
I never understand why another band would steal, right? Why somebody in a band would steal another musician's instrument.
Yeah,
we all know how much we spent on that shit. Fuck.
Yeah, we're all pretty sure we knew who it was, and they've since broken up, and we didn't like them anyway. So,
good fucking riddance.
I mean, in 10 years, I ended up with like 6 bands that I wouldn't ever invite back. So that's a pretty good record.
I was gonna say I can think of a couple of them, but we don't need to name them. But yeah.
And especially if you consider the fact you did 2 shows a year.
Yeah,
you know,
and
I have
a terribly large percentage.
I have a master list of all the bands that played Danger Fest shows over the years, and it's close to 150
easily. Yeah.
So.
And I remember that one year you did. You tried to do a Saturday Sunday thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We did a 2-day event, 31 bands, and I legit had a nervous breakdown at the end of that one.
Just one?
Well, the 2 days combined, 60 people showed up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, just about 2 people per band over 2 days. I'm like, that's not good at all. I lost like $900 on that show, and like,
wow,
like everything for these shows was coming out of pocket for me. I'm like, I didn't have $900 to lose, and so it took a lot of convincing from Danny and from other people for me to continue doing Danger Fest after that. I say, that's the show that broke me. That's the show where I stopped having fun, and then I did it for like another 4 years.
Right. That's got to be the show that taught you the most, though. You know, like don't overbook. Obviously, you know, a whole day thing, 10 bands, 8 bands. That's plenty of bands, man. You know.
Yeah.
31. Is that the number you said?
It was 32, but Brian McKay didn't show up.
Surprise! Surprise!
Yeah.
You know how many shows I had booked with him where he didn't show up? Most of them.
Yeah. It got to the point, like, you know, we all love Brian for our own reasons, but I don't think any of us trust booking him anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's dug his own grave. He's kind of done in the scene.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've heard. The scene, such as it is.
Such as it were, anyway.
Yeah. Well,
so based on what I'm hearing, you know, through this conversation here, any chance of a Danger Fest reunion down the road, or?
I mean, I never say never, like.
But not in the immediate future.
No, I quit booking everything, so I stopped doing Friday nights. I stopped doing everything because I mean, last year I couldn't do anything. Yeah. The last like legit show that I booked was March 6th last year, and I had them booked into July, and I had to cancel all of them for obvious reasons. And then I was never supposed to be booking the outdoor venue that's across the street from the Chestnut Center.
Mm-hmm.
But when they opened it, they didn't have anyone running it. Like, okay, well, I know how to do this. I'll do it. So I booked a summer's worth of outdoor shows. They were great. And then they hired someone, so it wasn't going to be my job anymore anyway. I was just kind of assisting. And Ted, my sound man, was also their sound man. And so, like, November, December last year, I'm talking to Ted. I'm like, we haven't done a show since March. Do you feel any less burnt out now than you did then? He's like, no, like not at all. So I'm like, I don't really want to go back to this. And so we made the decision that for the immediate future, we're done. I told Ted that all of the sound equipment belongs to him because I honestly don't know what parts were mine and what parts were his anymore. And I don't know how any of it works anyway.
Do you have room to store any of it either?
It's still all at the Chestnut Center, which they're not thrilled about.
There you go.
So if you know anyone who wants some, 4-foot tall speakers that may or may not work.
I was going to say, you might be talking to somebody right now.
If you can find one, like if you have like a 215, like tall tower.
So what we have is we never had official subwoofers, and we were looking for one.
Mm-hmm.
And Ted happened to be at a trivia night with the owner of the movie theater here, and he's talking to him about speakers, and he just goes, "We've got these speakers in the warehouse. I don't know if they work, but you can have them." So our subwoofer is actually a retired movie theater Dolby system.
Mm-hmm.
It kicks out some serious wattage. So it comes as like 3 speakers, and Ted only ever got 2 of them 3 on each side, so 6 speakers. Ted got 2 of them to work, and he put them on wheels so we could wheel them across the street when we had outdoor shows. Mm-hmm. The other 2, I mean, they weigh like 400 pounds each. Yeah. And they just sit there, and occasionally I use them as backdrops for, edgy photos.
Sure.
But the chestnuts.
I mean, if you do have like a 215 or something like that sitting around, I'm looking for a bigger, better drum monitor than what I currently have. So if that's a thing, take a look, let me know.
Yeah. So I told Ted the equipment's all his. If he wants to swap out parts of it, trade it, I'm like, it's all yours, dude.
Yeah.
Go for it. So I guess the plaza, across the street from the Chestnut Center, they're figuring out ways that they can do events. They had their first outdoor event today, and you could buy tickets in advance. And they had tents. It was 6 people to a tent. You had to sign up with your people, so you had your pod. Each tent had its own fire pit. And then they all faced the stage, and I have no idea how the guy kept warm playing, but I was at work, so I don't know how it went. But
that sounds not so bad, honestly.
Yeah. So, and they're trying.
Yeah,
it's interesting anyway. So now that since you've stepped back from that, you got a couple other things going on. You've been doing a lot of photography stuff.
Yeah,
and some and you've been reviewing food and albums and
I've been finding ways to keep myself busy because all I do anymore is go to work and come back home. So I still do I do photo shoots when I can. People come to me with ideas, or I'll shoot out an idea and be like, "Hey, who wants to do this?" I don't ever charge for it because, like, whatever. But now I thought when I got out of music I'd stop hauling equipment. I have so much photography equipment now.
Yeah, it's just new gear, man.
Yeah, it's lights and backdrops and rigs and
same shit, different gear.
Yep, pretty much. New thing to pointlessly spend my money on.
Mm-hmm.
But I started taking pictures. This ties back into Dangerfest, because everything in my life did for a while.
I mean, it was a good fair chunk of your life. So
exactly. I started drawing all of the posters. So Brian did the poster for the first one. I did all of them after that. And so I started drawing them, but I can't just sit down and draw something. I have to have something to draw from. So I started taking pictures so I could have someone pose and wear the outfit that I wanted to draw. And then I could just have it digitally draw over it, because that's how I did it.
Sure.
And then people started asking me, well, can you do photos for this or for this? I'm like, I guess. I'm like, I should probably get a better camera if I'm going to keep doing this. So I did. And then it's more cameras and more lenses, and like, oh, okay, now I know how to do this. And now I can take photos. I'm like, that actually doesn't look bad. I've taken some good looking stuff. And with some very good looking people, because that's just kind of the magic of being me. I mean, shouldn't everyone have a small army of loyal, gorgeous women working for them? I I have.
mean, if I get a vote in that, I'd say, yeah, I think we all should.
I mean, it wasn't coincidence that I always had attractive females bartending at Danger Fest. That's called marketing.
Right.
You're going to buy more things from them than you are from me.
Yeah, when we have shows here and I bartend, I sell less than when I have some of my other friends do it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how the Danger Babes started. Well, actually, they started back when I had a clothing line before I was doing shows. You know, the more I tell these stories, the more I start to think I have lived an interesting life.
Right?
I mean, I don't know it. Yeah, you really have. Every now and then I'll hear bits and pieces of something and I'll be like, wait, what? What is happening?
So yeah, now I fucked up my wrist. I can't draw anymore. So, oh well. So now I do everything with photos, and for a couple of months at the end of last year, I was shooting mostly stuff for people's OnlyFans accounts. I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of happy to be getting back to taking pictures I can actually show people, which is nice.
You could show it to anyone you want, but it's like $5.99 a month, right?
Oh, exactly. You have to subscribe.
Right.
Yeah.
OnlyFans.
Get you some, bud.
Other experience.
I'm like, I know what it is, but I'm unfamiliar.
Basically, like, the website tries to sell it as it's not just about nudes. What it is. No, they're not kidding anyone. Like, no. That's comedians have
essentially all it is about. Yeah.
I'm like, and artists have OnlyFans. I'm like, yeah, they do. But that's not what you're known for. It's like saying, well, yeah, Playboy also had classified ads. Sure did.
Yeah.
And the articles.
There were articles in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're in literary circles, you know that the articles in Playboy were actually very well written, but that's not what anyone cared about.
Right.
So for the longest time, I did actually have a subscription, and it was because, well, it wasn't just because, but living up in Green Bay was, and I don't know if it still is or not, was extremely conservative. And that was one of the only outlets that I knew that had a different perspective. I had 2 magazine subscriptions for probably almost 15 years, and it was that and Rolling Stone. And one had additional perks. But that was the only way to get any sort of
No. Rolling Stone was very important to my teenage years because I couldn't get a subscription to Playboy. You just had to make do.
Yeah. But
man, I barely remember magazines, if I'm being honest.
Oh man.
Like my uncle had Playboys, of course. But I think maybe I did have a subscription to Rolling Stone, or I'd pick one up every now and then. I think for the most part, I'd just get like Guitar Player and Bass Player magazine or whatever, because 1990 whatever, I was learning how to play bass, and that's a good source.
Yeah, so. I had a subscription to Guitar World, which I eventually canceled because I'm like, they only ever cover metal guitar players anymore, and I don't care.
Right. Nobody really cares that much about.
It's fun to listen to every
now
and
they do.
But I can't play like that. I don't want to play like that. And now I don't play at all.
No.
That was the thing. Right around quarantine started, I started playing guitar again, and I'd make myself go live, and I'd take requests, and then I realized I'm not having any fun doing this. I quit again.
Yeah.
Like the world of live music has just beaten so much passion out of me at this point. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to writing reviews, and so I started a page for that. It's Dancing
what's that called?
Architecture.
Say it again.
Dancing About Architecture.
Okay.
Which is a real deep reference that nobody is going to catch.
I'm not familiar with it. What do we get?
I heard it on a Steve Martin record from the 70s because I'm a dork. And he said that writing about music or comedy is like dancing about architecture. There's no point. So that was my way.
That's really good.
That was my way of saying that what I'm doing is entirely pointless.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good, man. Also,
Yeah.
you're not a dork for listening to 70s Steve Martin records. You're just cooler than everyone else, man.
Yeah, well, I have plenty of things that make me a dork, so it's fine.
Yeah, but this is not one of those.
I've accepted who I am. It's fine. But yeah, I had since we've been closed to the public at work, I have a lot more time to actually listen to music, which all the years I was booking, I wasn't listening to anything because I'm like, I don't have time for this. So now, like when friends put out records, I actually get to listen to them now. And I do a lot of my listening on the Bandcamp app. And apparently some people don't like Bandcamp. They're like, well, I'm only using Spotify. I'm like, well, I don't like Spotify, so I'm not getting it. So find another way for me to listen to this if you want.
Well, and it's like too, like there's so many platforms now. Like, why limit yourself to one? Like, I mean,
right. I had Spotify briefly. I didn't like their interface. I didn't like the way they had things set up, so I got rid of it. I'm like, I have Amazon Music. I like how that works. It's built into my Prime subscription, so
right.
Like
yeah,
now,
and
I don't
if any artists, yeah, if any artists are out there, sorry,
what now? We're just talking.
You guys are just
right
both
now?
talking at the same time. That's all.
Shut up, Jason.
All right, now I'll find you. Now, yeah. So I have Amazon Music. So when I want to listen to 5 Huey Lewis albums in a row, I can just go do that.
Yeah.
Because
breaking news.
Right.
Yeah.
What I was trying to say before, I was so rudely interrupted so many times.
You're welcome.
Was that DistroKid is what, like $25 a? How much is it, Jason?
Something like that. It's $20 a year or something, and they put it on almost all the platforms.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they don't put it on Bandcamp, but just fucking make a Bandcamp page and fucking load it there.
Like I had looked into DistroKid because I was looking on getting the Danger Fest comps on, iTunes and all this shit. And then I realized that I couldn't do that because then I'd be accepting money for other people's songs, and I didn't want to be that shitty person. So I'm like, we have a Bandcamp page. They're free. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're taking money for other people's songs, you could pay them, but fuck accounting.
Right. Well, and then like half the bands on these comps don't exist anymore, so who do you even pay?
Oh, you just keep those.
Right. I'm like, am I supposed to pay someone from 80 Proof Creature? Are they still a thing? Sometimes, maybe.
It's literally sometimes maybe.
Right.
Most of them are in the usual now.
Yeah. Like Phil is in like what, half the bands in Northern Illinois.
As far as I know, just sometimes maybe 80 Proof Creature and the usuals.
Well, he was playing with the Seasides for a while.
Oh yeah. He quit when Aaron quit.
Yeah.
The bass player.
Right.
Who's also an 80 Proof Creature.
Right. Yeah.
And then now that I'm pretty sure that they're both in the usuals. So clearly, Aaron and Phil are a fucking package deal.
The circle of life continues. I mean, you guys are a shining example of just how musically incestuous the Danger Fest scene became.
Well,
like,
yeah.
Weren't you in this?
It kind of is.
Yeah, now I'm in this band. I'm like, okay. So I knew like the same 15 people. They just had different band names every year.
Yeah. How do you keep finding so many new bands? Oh no, they just switch their names and like one member.
Right.
Yeah.
I do remember thinking that because I know. I think before we played it, I think I came up there one year to check it out.
You came up with your kids one year, and they ended up getting bored, and so I found coloring sheets for them.
That's right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, and then as I walked in, you're like, oh, just so you know, there are some autographed adult materials at the merch table.
Yes.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, those were a holdover from my years running my clothing line as well. So apparently, I'll never know how this happened. It's just the magic of Twitter and, like 2005, 2006. I was spray painting clothes in my parents' garage. That was my whole clothing line. Like, I bought stencils at the hardware store. I'd borrow stencils from work of like dinosaurs and shit. And I'd just make t-shirts that said stupid things. And sometimes people would buy them. And then I got a Twitter page for them. And for whatever reason, they really caught on in the Central Florida porn scene. So like suddenly I'm sending, a box of t-shirts to Kendra Lust and Alexis Fox. And I'm like, this is weird. And I still have like conversations with some of them. Like I haven't done clothes in Christ, like 8-9 years. They're like, hey, remember when you did this thing for me? I'm like, yeah. They're like, I still have it. I'm like, wow, those things didn't hold up well at all. I don't know how you still have it.
How is the paint still on there?
I'm like, it's just spray paint from Menards. And there was no technique to this at all.
Just a dream.
Again, apparently I have lived a very interesting life.
Yeah, clearly.
So yeah, we got an autographed picture from Kendra Lust, and then the year we were doing raffles at Danger Fest, Alexis Fox sent me like 5 autographed pictures that were just generally autographed to raffle off, and then one that was addressed directly to me, which is hanging on my wall.
Yeah,
so
it was. Yeah.
Let's see that shit, bud. You can't just say it's hanging on your wall and not go grab it off the wall and show it to us.
He probably can.
Hang on.
Yeah, he probably doesn't have to, but okay. I guess it depends on what the picture looks like.
Yeah. And hey, if this sucks, I'll just cut it out and post. It did suck, and he did cut it out in post.
And so, yeah, I used to exchange Christmas cards with porn stars because I could. Sometimes I still do. I've become fond of saying it's just kind of the magic of being me. Like, I should not be able to do these things, but I do.
Yeah, you got friends that are porn stars. That's fine. I know Jason.
Yeah. For the right price, Jason. For the right price, Jason will take his clothes off for a Christmas card, and the price
it's usually not even that. It's usually just tequila.
Yeah.
Again, getting back to that weird relationship with liquor. Yeah, no, it's.
Yeah, I was gonna see if Jim was gonna pop into this before we told the story of last Christmas. Where
I just messaged him. He hasn't been on in a minute. He's probably in the middle of. He said he had some board games to play, so I can only.
I would imagine.
I can only assume he's in the middle of a heated backgammon game.
Yeah, I think he's probably knee deep in playing Risk or something. Something that takes all night to play.
Right.
Sounds like his Candyland is being monopolized. Sorry.
Oh,
all right. That joke was a little far cheesy.
Yahtzee.
But no, the last time that Jason and Jim and I were part of a shenanigan together was Christmas, where Jim had just posted a picture where he was holding his guitar and you could see his naked ass, and he just wrote Happy Holidays on it. And I decided to just run with this. And I'm like, it's a new holiday tradition we're calling Nudesmas. And so Jim and I thought it was hilarious. We didn't think anyone else was going to participate. But Jason did.
But wait, then there was
But wait, there's more.
I ended up being the least naked in my contribution. But that's because I had a more nude and a less nude version, and I put it to a vote on my Snapchat, and people voted to see me with more clothes on. Go figure.
Prudes.
Yeah.
Hey, at least I was wearing a cowboy hat.
This is true.
I bought a cowboy hat. There we go. That's something I did during quarantine.
Were you wearing that cowboy hat on your head or somewhere else?
I was on my head in that picture.
Okay. No,
Yeah,
I get it.
I did a photo shoot for one of my friends, and then I'm just like, hey, I need these pictures taken. Can you do them? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to be naked. She's like, I've seen you naked before. I'm like, okay, fair point.
Great.
So
this should go easy.
I'm like, I have a cowboy hat and I have Christmas lights, and I'm going to do this.
I was gonna say, I know that I've seen, I have seen, I've seen both versions.
Yeah.
It's it's.
Yeah,
I mean, they turned out all right.
There were definitely some outtakes. I'm like, oh, can't use that one. You can see my balls. I'm like,
yeah.
And apparently,
so I don't know. So Jim's was clearly at his house. Yours was at a.
It was at
I don't know what
house. Yeah, they had recently painted a wall just plain white. I'm like, that's a good backdrop.
So
you traveled for yours. You went.
Mine was a little different. I was actually, scouting locations for mine, and I actually am. It is literally, you can right behind the tree that I am in front of is the Madison Airport.
Nice.
I believe that I am on hole 13 of the golf course that Deacon and I have played at multiple times. And
the hill.
It's yeah. Well, I'll show you next time we go through there.
And it looked awfully cold out, so we can assume you're working on your short game.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was, so obviously I can't get there. So I have a couple of trench coats, and so I was wearing the trench coat up until then, and but yeah, there's cars driving by, 30 feet away while this is happening, and yeah, it ended up. I was pretty happy with the results, but
I feel like I haven't seen this picture.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
Don't worry, it definitely won't end up in this video.
No, I won't send it to you. Actually, it's in. It is already in Becca's Christmas video.
It is. I remember that.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yep.
That's okay though. I'll leave it out.
That's fine. Yeah, I was like, no, I'm taking this to the next level.
Yeah, you really upped the game, and if we make this an annual tradition, now I'm going to have to step up my game. So
we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know
where the world's going to be by Christmas. I mean,
right. Also, I feel like I set my bar pretty high.
Yeah, you kind of shot your wad on the first year there,
but
on whatever hole we call
Christmas, we could all be able to do these indoors,
right?
Like with other people.
Sometimes you just gotta be outside wearing nothing but a scarf and an axe.
Nonsense. You had your boots on too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I suppose I did. Anything else going on that we should? Oh, well, this is a weird segue after all this, but it's your son's birthday today.
It is my son's birthday. Yeah, he turns 4 today.
Let's say take that back. Everyone back to 1. Go for it, Jason.
So it's your son's birthday today.
It is. He turns 4 today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name?
His name is Joey.
Joey, happy birthday, buddy boy.
Yeah, people.
I'm sure he's not going to watch this thing.
I didn't know you had a kid. I'm like, well, again, there's a story. Life is just a series of stories.
The key there is that you have a kid, but
so biologically he is not my son, and if you look at him, you can tell he's very handsome.
There are websites for these sorts of things.
But no, a friend of mine got pregnant, and the sperm donor had no interest in being involved. And I'd always wanted to have the dad role, so we never really discussed it. It just kind of became a thing. And so he was born the day after Dangerfest 4 years ago. He let me get a couple hours of sleep after Dangerfest, so that's.
Oh.
But that was also the year where, while I'm counting out, the door money, I'm also on my phone researching which breast pump we're supposed to get. So
yeah,
sounds like a regular Dangerfest.
Well, yeah. So yes, but they live in Michigan, so I actually got to meet him for the first time last September. They came here over Labor Day weekend. So there are a picture of us at the zoo and whatnot. So
yeah, dude, that's really sweet.
It's video chats. He's apparently 4 is when you stop liking everything. So
I will say that's not true. He seems to love Batman, because I just saw a video of him running around in his Batman outfit.
Yes. So I have a Batman tattoo, and we never told him that was Batman, but we're like videotaping once, and he just he just points at it. He goes, "Batman," and he's like 2. Like, I've never told him that's Batman. He just knows. So he's loved Batman ever since then. It's our thing. So for Halloween, he wanted it to be Batman. I'm like, well, I'm not going to give him like a costume that has all these, different parts and everything, because he's going to want to wear it every day. I need something that's all one piece and washable. So I got him like one of those sweatsuits that has like the ears on the hood and everything.
Nice.
That's what he's wearing in the video. He's running around because it has a cape, and as everyone knows, when you have a cape, you run faster.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Science.
Statistics do show.
All figured out.
Right. Cape and brand new sneaks. That is the speed equation.
Exactly. So yeah, he's I talked to him this morning. He got a remote control dinosaur, which his mother hated about 5 minutes after it came out of the package. I'm like, I did not buy it for him. You bought it for him. You did this to yourself. I'm like, I bought him a stuffed animal of Grover from Sesame Street. It doesn't make any sound.
Smart.
Because we had been doing bedtime stories over video chat, and I got a copy of There Is a Monster at the End of This Book with Grover.
Nice. One of my favorites.
Of course, I have to do the Grover voice for him, and so now he loves Grover. And I will probably never sing in a high register again, but I have the Grover voice.
When when my ex and I got divorced, my kids were very small, and so I recorded myself reading a bunch of children's books. Put it on YouTube so that if they ever wanted me to read, read them a story, they would do that. I looked the other day. One of my stories has like 5,000 views. And I'm just like, who is watching this? Like, it somehow blew up. Because I do like, there's like 20. There's
the book doesn't come after you, you're good.
Right. And I did a whole bunch of ridiculous voices, and I think there's like 20 characters in it.
Oh boy.
And so yeah, I have a different voice for everyone, and there's people commenting on it. I'm like, wow, this was literally just meant to be like a bedtime story to my kids. And
I'm going to need a link to that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I will.
I have a hard enough time switching back and forth between
I'll fucking find you.
It's not that hard to find. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
I'm going to put a link to that at the end of this video.
It's just It's all about that dad life.
You think I'm lying, but it's going to be up there.
No, I believe you.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll even give you help. Give you a hand. It's called Stop That Pickle.
There you go.
But I don't know. That's kind of all I got. Yeah. Anybody else got anything you want to add in here?
I don't really have anything else going on. I turned 35 in April, so.
Oh, just a baby.
Yeah.
Just a wee baby.
I'm 35 going on 60. I've always been a baby, so.
Yeah. I got a treadmill.
I'm growing into my.
You did? How's that going?
I used it once.
That one.
I mean, I'm getting there. Like I walked a mile while I'm kind of half drunk, so it was like 2 miles. I'll get into it, but let's just say my back's been sore for a couple of days.
Weak sauce.
Super weak sauce, but that's why I got it to be less weak sauce. Come on.
I mean,
I helped you carry that thing up there. You better get on that thing.
We're clearly all doing exciting things with it. I mean, he's got a treadmill. I started taking vitamins.
Oh, well, you didn't mention that.
Taking vitamin D.
I got a humidifier.
Oh, epic. This is, you know what? Why didn't we hear about this earlier? I'm ready to sign off, and now I hear there's a humidifier.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this humidifier.
It's a humidifier and essential oil diffuser.
Oh, I didn't. Wow.
My bedroom is filling up with spearmint chamomile right now.
Unreal.
That sounds soothing.
Oh, it is. I sleep poorly. I still sleep very poorly, but better than I did.
Right. So I guess other than a treadmill, I've got a t-shirt order to make in the next week or so whenever the shirts show up for a Madison band called Mescalis.
Oh yeah. Oh, they just put out a split with courtesy of Tim, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Who you also did shirts for?
Well, yeah, done a couple hundred shirts for them.
I've got a review coming out. I do album reviews that come out on Tuesdays on the Dancing About Architecture Facebook page. This week I'm visiting some music involving our old friend Tommy Mayer.
Oh boy!
Someone was going to do the Distillery EP. So
that's right, Brian Wheeler.
Brian did.
Yeah.
I'm
getting all thrashy this week.
Yeah, I've heard it. It's pretty good, I think.
It's very Anthraxy, which is fine. I'm okay with
I was actually in the studio when they recorded some of that. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, I would imagine. It's funny. Like for years, people have told me I don't like metal, and this is like the third or fourth metal release I've reviewed.
Of course.
Like you got things for throw them at me. I didn't have anything last week.
Something happened to your microphone there, Danger.
Yeah, is your mic kind of covered up? Or something?
I didn't move anything, so let's see.
Something happened.
You sound like you're in a tin can.
You might be on Mars.
This is the best part of the show so far.
Yeah.
Here's my impression of Danger. All right, guys, I think that'll do it for us here at My Awesome Friends. We'll put links to everything that we talked about in the description. Make sure you subscribe to this, enable notifications so you know when new episodes come out. Tell your friends, and I think see you guys later, yeah? You good?
Sounds good. Later.
Later, taters.
Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. And I could fly higher than an eagle if you were the wind beneath my wings.